Hi everyone, hope you're all doing good. So this is the second part of the two-part video series about algorithmic trading pattern, the so-called thrust rejection pattern. So in this particular video, we are going to look at some actual examples of thrust rejection pattern, and we'll also discuss about trading the thrust rejection pattern. So make sure to watch it till the end, and also click on the thumbs up icon and also click on the notification bell. Let us get started. It's a price action pattern that's created by the behavior of reversion algorithms. So we have discussed about this in the first part of this video series. So if you haven't gone through the first part of this video series, I recommend you to go through that one before you continue watching this. Thrust rejection is an algorithmic pattern created by the activity of algorithms, and bullish thrust rejection will help us to take a long trade, and bearish thrust rejection will help us to take a short trade. So the large wick that we see on the bullish thrust rejection, that is the indication of algorithms trying to accumulate the shares, and the large wick that we see on the bearish thrust rejection, it is an indication of algorithms trying to distribute the shares. So when we are trading the thrust rejection patterns, or when we are trading the thrust rejection setups, we have to take our entry right after the retest. So once you see a rejection, the prices can shoot up. Once the prices shoots up a little bit, quickly there will be a retest. We will use the retest to take our entry. Likewise, if you look at the bearish thrust rejection pattern, you will see a rejection first, and right after the rejection, the prices may fall for a while. And once the prices fall for a while, quickly you will see a retest. We have to take a short trade right after the retest. So retest is the confirmation of the thrust rejection setup. So before we take any entry, we need to make sure we see a proper retest on the pattern. Alright, let us look at some actual examples of thrust rejection pattern. Alright, so right now I'm looking at Vedanta Limited 15 minutes time frame. So if you look at the stock prices of Vedanta, since from this point to this point, we can see the falling prices, right? The prices are falling from here till here. So within the falling prices, once the prices touched this particular level, so once the prices touched the bottom of, I think somewhere around 210 or 210.82 something, we can see a quick rejection from the bottom. We can see a shadow here, right? A large shadow. So that's the rejection. So that particular shadow tells us that the buyers, or the bullish mean reversion algorithms, are trying to accumulate the shares. So we had falling prices and we had a quick rejection from the bottom, and right after the rejection we also have a retest, right? The prices rejected and it bounced back. So right after the rejection, after the first candle, the second candle was a strong bullish candle, and that candle was giving us an indication that the buyers are trying to enter into the market. The buyers are trying to buy the stock, or the mean reversion algorithm is trying to accumulate the stock. So right after that bullish candle, we are seeing a retest, right? We had a quick retest, and right after the retest, the prices bounced back, which is nothing but a confirmation that the buyers are willing to buy the stock. It's a confirmation that there is a good buying pressure over here. And right after that, again we had another retest, and that retest also becomes successful. So after two consecutive retests, after the rejection, the prices changed the direction. There was a quick reversal in the stock prices. So we had falling prices, a rejection from the bottom, then another retest, and then another retest, and right after the retest there was a quick price reversal. So this particular retest that we see here, right, these two retests, they are most likely an indication of trapped sellers. So the people who think the trend is likely to continue, the sellers who sold the stock, they are likely got trapped here. Alright, so this selling activity that we see here, right, they are most likely created by the trapped sellers. So the whole retest that we see here, the two different retest, it is most likely the activity of uninformed traders. So once the retest ended up becoming successful, once the buyers started to step in after the retest, the prices changed the direction, the market quickly reversed to the upside. So this is a good example of a bullish thrust rejection pattern. Right, so let us write it down. So this is bullish thrust rejection pattern. Okay, so we have seen bullish thrust rejection on the 15-minute chart of Vedanta. Now let us look at the bearish thrust rejection pattern, some actual example of bearish thrust rejection. So here I'm looking at HDFC Asset Management Company 15 minutes time frame. So if you look at this particular chart, we can notice that since from this point till this point, the prices were moving in an uptrend, right? The prices were consistently climbing. Back to back, they were making higher highs. We can clearly notice it. And right after, reaching certain point, right after testing somewhere around 3,340, we can see a resistance formation. So over here, we can see a rejection from the top, right? So after the first test, then there was a second test. At the second test, we see a sharp rejection from the top. So this particular rejection is giving us an indication of selling pressure. This rejection is telling us that the sellers are entering into the market. The sellers are trying to take short trade. Or this rejection is telling us the so-called bearish algorithms or the so-called bearish mean reversion algorithms are taking short positions. So right after this rejection, the prices fell down for a while. I think the next candle was bearish, and right after that there was a quick retest. Again, this particular retest is likely created by the activity of uninformed traders. So traders who are looking at the uptrend, traders who expected the uptrend to continue. So all these uninformed traders, they quickly got trapped by this market behavior. So they were buying the stock, expecting the trend will continue, but instead what happened is the prices quickly changed the direction. So right after this rejection and right after this retest, which is created by uninformed traders, the prices quickly fell down, right? You can notice a sharp fall in the stock prices. So this is a good example of a bearish thrust rejection. Alright, so how do we trade this particular thrust rejection pattern? So generally, when we look at this specific thrust rejection pattern, we should try to enter right after the retest, or we can say we should try to enter once the prices break the retest. So here, if you look at this particular retest, there is a minor trend line over here, right? So once the prices broke this particular trend line, so once there was a bullish candle which broke above the trend line, I can take my entry right at this point. I can take a long trade right after this particular candle. So once there is a break from the trend line, once the prices close above the retest, I can try to go for a long trade. I can try to buy the stock. Okay. So when it comes to a bearish thrust rejection, for bearish thrust rejection, the same principle applies, but it applies in the opposite side. Let's take a look. So in this particular case, I would most likely enter after the break of this specific minor trend line. So we have a retest and the prices have broken the trend line. So you can see the break here, right? So right after this break, I will try to take a short trade. I will try to take a bearish trade. I will go for a short position. So this is how we trade the thrust rejection setup. So wait for the rejection pattern to happen, wait for the retest. Once the prices break the retest trend line, you can go for the entry. Alright. And also one more thing, this is a high probability price action based setup. So maybe if you are getting started in price action, you may not be able to spot this pattern immediately. It takes some practice to be a good price action trader. But if you are consistent, if you keep putting your efforts, over time you'll be able to develop the skills to recognize these patterns on the price chart. And if you can identify these type of patterns on the chart, you can definitely find very good trading opportunities that can give you good returns. Alright, so to conclude, here are some of the key points that we need to keep in mind. So first of all, thrust rejection pattern should be traded only on the lower time frame. So as I have mentioned in the first part of this video, so we need to look for thrust rejection pattern anywhere from 5 minutes to 15 minutes, 30 minutes and 1 hour time frame. If you are looking at this pattern anything more than 1 hour, if you are looking at this in higher time frames like 1 day, 1 week, etc., right, then you may not get good probability on these setups. So better to look for these patterns on lower time frame. And they also give us very good risk reward and a very good profit. So if you can identify these patterns and if you can find right entry points around these patterns, definitely you can get very good risk reward and also you can gain good profits. So you should enter only after the retest. So whenever you find these thrust rejection patterns, make sure you take your entry after the retest. And last but not least, none of the patterns are foolproof, none of the strategy is foolproof. So whenever you are trading in the markets, make sure to keep in mind that you follow a right risk management. So without risk management, none of the strategy works. So even when you're trading patterns like thrust rejection, even though these patterns have high probability, make sure to follow a proper risk management. Alright. So if you have any questions or any feedbacks, kindly leave it in the comment section below. And also, if you like this video, if you find what I'm sharing is useful, kindly like, share and subscribe so that you can receive more insightful trading strategies. Also, if you would like to learn more about price action trading strategies, if you like to learn about high probability techniques, make sure to browse my website, that is www.tradingcoach.co.in. So, thanks a lot for watching, thanks a lot for listening. Have a good day.